If there's one thing I've learned since I started teaching at university is that we do a really terrible job of preparing students. What's up, everyone? I'm Adam. I'm a former lawyer, former business exec, and now I'm a full-time university prof. And in this video, what I want to do is I want to share with you 10 tips that I wish I had known when I started university that hopefully will help you accelerate your learning curve and make things a lot easier than they were for me and everyone else who just had to kind of figure these things out as they go. So that being said, let's just jump right into it. The very first thing that I want to talk about is number one, grades don't matter all that much. Now, before I get a whole bunch of angry hate mail, I want to clarify something here. Obviously, I'm not saying that you can just slack off, goof off, fail your courses, and fail at a university and it's not going to matter. Grades do matter to some extent, right? But if you're the type of person who is stressing over whether your GPA is a 3.9 or a 3.8, the unfortunate fact for you is that unless you are going into a very sort of limited set of professions or disciplines, that GPA is probably not going to matter all that much after you graduate. And even if you are going into one of those disciplines where your GPA matters, it only really matters for that very first job. Because the moment you get into the workforce, no one is ever going to ask you what your grades were ever again. So the exceptions to this are if you're looking to get into grad school, then probably you want to pay attention to that GPA, or if you're in certain professional programs where the companies that are hiring generally are going to be looking at your grades as a way to differentiate you from all the other candidates who are doing the exact same program that you are. But aside from those sort of limited exceptions, you shouldn't be stressing too much about your grades. In fact, you should be thinking of university as an opportunity to learn and to grow. And you know what? The only way you learn and you grow is by failing and by making mistakes. You are not going to learn and grow if every single test, every single assignment is a perfect A plus. So take those mistakes, take those errors that you made, take those assignments that didn't go nearly as well as you did, and sort of look at them as the real test of whether or not you're actually learning and growing as a person, because that is the experience that's going to help you succeed outside of university. The second thing that I wish I'd known when I was in university is that I really should have spent more time making and staying in touch with friends. Because if there's one value to going to university, it's the people that you're surrounded with. Let's be honest, for the majority of jobs that exist in the 21st century, most of the knowledge you need to do those jobs, you could probably learn out of a book or in some other fashion without actually attending university. So the value of university is really the people that you're surrounded with. It's your professors, it's the people in your class, your classmates. So make lasting connections with those people. They are friends that you can keep forever. They are also, from a more pragmatic perspective, they're the network that you're going to use when you get into the working world. I think what a lot of people miss is that university is as much a social experience as it is an academic experience. And if it's not more important, then it's at least as important as the academic aspect of it. The third thing I wish I'd known when I was in university was that you can forget the curriculum and really just learn what's important. Because remember, you're in university to learn stuff. And yes, you need to do the bare minimum part of the curriculum to graduate and get your degree. But don't forget, you're surrounded by information in the shape of libraries, access to academic journals, brilliant professors, colleagues and classmates, access to groups who give you access to networks of professionals that you will never get access to ever again for the rest of your life, at least not for free. So take advantage of that fact, figure out what is important to you, what you really want to learn, and learn those things now while you're in university, because it becomes a lot more difficult to do these things afterwards, or at least a little bit more expensive to do them. So take advantage. Yes, the curriculum, maybe you need to do it, but don't forget, make sure you're learning the things that are important to you. Number four, use your professors. And when I say use your professors, I don't just mean for their expertise on the class that they're teaching. The reality is, most people who are teaching at university have a wealth of knowledge and experience that you can tap into about a ton of different subjects and topics. And most people who are teaching at the university level are doing it because they want to share their knowledge and they're eager to do so. So use your professors as a resource. Get information from them about their past experiences, their careers. Ask them for things outside of the university. Get to know them. When I was in university, it wasn't uncommon for us to grab drinks with our professors outside of class time. Some of them became friends of mine after I graduated. Don't forget your professors are people. Use them like people, or don't use them. Don't use people. Use things. Love people. What I mean though is take advantage of the fact that you have people who are here who are looking to help you, because it's not going to be often in your career and in your life where you're going to have such a large group of individuals whose sole focus it is to help you out. Number five, in university, the stakes are low, so try out a bunch of things. Now is the time to experiment. Now is the time to try a bunch of different things. Take a bunch of electives that you don't know if they're going to be the right choice or not. But right now is the time to do it, because 10, 15, 20 years from now, you will have way more responsibility. There's going to be a lot more stuff on your shoulders. And so it'll be a lot harder for you to make a right turn or a left turn, and you're going to feel a lot more pressure to follow the beaten path. Whereas in university, the stakes are low. Try out a bunch of stuff. If it doesn't work out, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You have to take an extra semester, 2 semesters, big deal. And that, by the way, brings me to the next tip, which is take your time. Don't rush through it. When I was in university, I was part of a program which, bizarrely enough, was a 3.5 year program because it was a double degree. Anyway, that's not important. The important thing is that as part of the 3.5 year program, students had a couple of different options. They could either do it in the sort of recommended 3.5 years, or they could kind of slow down and do it over the course of 4 years, which meant you were taking slightly less classes every semester, or they could take an accelerated version of the program and they could finish in 3 years. When I started university, I thought to myself, I'm going to get this degree or these degrees as quickly as I can. I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to jump into the workforce. So I want to do this program in 3 years. And so that's what I started to do. My first year in university, I was on track to finish university in 3 years, which meant that I was taking 7 courses a semester, I think. And I was up to my eyeballs in work. I was I was dying, quite frankly. And the worst part is I wasn't enjoying my university experience. I was stressing myself out for no reason. All for the fact that I could be, 1 year younger when I graduate. At the end of the day, none of that really matters, right? So whether you're 21, 22, or 23 when you graduate from your undergrad, no one really cares. Even if you're 24, 25, or 26, you have the rest of your life to be working in a professional setting. Take advantage of the time that you have in university, enjoy it, enjoy it at your own pace, learn things at your own pace. In the end, by the way, I ended up slowing down for the last 2 years of my degree, and I did end up finishing in that 3.5 year time span. But my last 2.5 years were way more relaxed because that first year was just so crazy. So take it from me, rushing through it, definitely not worth it. Take your time. The seventh thing that I wish I'd known in university is all those annoying group projects that you have to do as part of university courses. Those are actually really, really important. And this is one of those things that I talk about with my students all the time, because I understand how frustrating it could be, especially when you are in groups with people who maybe don't take something as seriously as you, and you have to kind of navigate different personalities, different ways of thinking. And, depending on where you go to school, it might also be just completely diverse worldviews, people from different sides of the planet, different political views. All of these things come crashing down, and it makes your job so much harder. The thing is, that's kind of the way the world is. And so the whole purpose of doing these group projects in university is not because, you need to, just check the box and get the work done. It's about learning how to work with other people in scenarios that are not all that different from what you're going to have to do after you are in the professional world. Because when you're in the professional world, if you work for a company, chances are you're not going to get a chance to choose who you're working with, right? Whoever your colleagues are, that's who you're stuck working with, and you need to learn how to work with them no matter what. Even if you decide to start your own company, I'll tell you what, sometimes when you have to hire people, you don't always get to choose the people that you get along with the best. Sometimes you got to choose people who bring the right skill set to the mix, even if they are not your cup of tea. And what that means is you need to get used to being able to work with people. If you have customers, you need to figure out how to deal with customers. And so those group projects, those are really teaching you a super valuable skill. And it might just be the most important thing you learn during your time in university. Thing number eight, all of that wonderful book knowledge that you're gaining while you're studying in university, all of that knowledge that you've crammed into your brain, chances are you're probably going to forget it. Yep, that's right. All those tests you took, all that memorizing that you did, it's not going to survive for a few years after you've graduated. And then it'll be gone. And the only way to get it back is to continuously keep on learning. That's why the most important thing you're going to learn in university is not the knowledge that you acquire, it's the skills that you're going to acquire. I went to law school and then spent a grand total of 2 years practicing law. And yet I have never, ever thought of my law degree as a waste of time because in law school, I learned how to think critically, how to read properly, how to write properly, how to construct an argument, how to deconstruct an argument. All of these things are skills that I acquired while I was in school that have nothing to do with the actual knowledge that was taught in the classroom. I can't name for you a single article in the civil code or the criminal code, but all of those skills that I acquired, those are the things that allowed me to have a successful career even once I left the actual field that I was studying. So remember that what you're doing in university isn't just about accumulating knowledge because knowledge will disappear. It's it's gaining skills, and those skills are the things that are actually going to help you. Related to the previous point, the other thing you want to do is you want to focus on those skills that are going to be useful across disciplines. So, mastering a skill that is only good in one specific discipline is only going to be useful if you can 100% guarantee yourself that you are never going to change disciplines, and that is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. If I had spent all my time in law school mastering the ability to plead in a courtroom, well, unfortunately, that wouldn't have been super helpful for me because guess what? I have never once in my life ever pleaded a court case in a courtroom. So focus on those skills that are going to be useful to you in a variety of different scenarios because you know what? Life will surprise you. You might think this is what you want to do today, but at this point, probably more than half of the people that I went to school with are now doing something completely different from what they were studying. So just keep that in mind. When you're trying to figure out what skills to practice, don't necessarily just go for the thing that's going to help you get your specific job done right now. And the 10th thing that I wish I had known when I was in university is that university is probably the best time to understand what a job really looks like and to really get a feel for what you'll be doing after you graduate. Because the challenge that a lot of people have, myself included, is we embark on these career journeys with a sort of twisted idea of what we're actually going to be doing. Give you a very concrete example. I went to law school without ever really knowing any lawyers. And so I never fully understood or appreciated what a lawyer's job was like and what they did on a day to day basis. Most of my exposure to legal practice probably came from television. And talk to any lawyer, they'll tell you that's not a very accurate representation of what a lawyer's day actually looks like. And if I had spent more time in my early years in university speaking to more people who actually did the work that I was planning to do, maybe I would have realized a little bit earlier on that the career that I was embarking on actually wasn't a great fit for me. And the reason university is such a great time to do this is because there are people all around you who are actually doing the jobs or have actually done the jobs that you are trying to get into. So spend some time talking to those people. They might be people in the administration who are part of the careers office. They might be your professors. They might be professionals who are part of the university's alumni network. Whatever the case might be, now is the time for you to figure out the thing that you're trying to do in life. Is it actually what you think it is? So figure it out now. It'll be a lot easier than switching courses 5 to 10 years down the road. That being said, there's still no guarantee that won't happen anyway. Just look at me. I've changed careers more times than I've changed myself. And then I'll give you guys a bonus thing that I wish I'd known in university that coming out of it, I realize now it was probably the most important thing I learned while I was there is that university is really for a lot of us the first opportunity we have to explore different perspective, different points of view. And I feel like a lot of people really don't take advantage of that enough. Prior to university, you're in schools where a lot of the time the people who go to those schools are all coming from the same areas, the same neighborhoods. And so you're not really being exposed to all that much diversity in terms of, whether it be where people are coming from or just their way of thinking. Whereas in university, if you're going to a decent sized university, you probably have people coming from all over, bringing different traditions, different ways of thinking, different perspectives. And you should really use this as an opportunity to kind of expand your horizons and get to know what other people are thinking, because this is what's really going to help you figure out kind of what is the world really like and not seeing things through your own sort of narrow little, telescope of this is what the world is and every other opinion out there is just kind of the other. University is a great opportunity for you to get to know other people, get to know other perspectives, and really expand your worldview. Aside from traveling the globe, which I would also recommend that you do, talking to different types of people in university is probably the simplest way that you're ever going to get exposure to all of these different traditions. And now that you know all the things that I wish I'd known when I was in university, you can click on this video to learn the number one skill I wish I'd learned before going into university.